What's going on, guys? Chandler here. So this is going to be my new segment on my YouTube channel called First Listen Review that is taken from my $5 tier full album reactions. So I reacted the entire album, and then at the very end I give my overall thoughts and initial thoughts and a score on the album as a whole. So again, if you do like what you see and want to support the channel going forward, head over to patreon.com/ChandlerBurtonEntertainment. This is exclusive to the $5 tier. Again, you get a full album reaction, review, and a whole bunch of other perks as well if you guys are interested. And again, there's always a link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the review, and thank you all so much for watching. Alright, so as I mentioned, we are checking out the band Alt and their brand new album, debut album called ABEYANCE. And as I mentioned before, I believe it was Cody from Wage War who mentioned it, saying, you have your entire life to write your debut album. But again, it's always good to hit the ground running with something really strong, really impactful. That way, you can have a really big audience as, your next album comes out, the album after that. You just want to keep building momentum as time goes along. So a debut album is always really, really important. Sometimes it could damage somebody's career, or sometimes it can skyrocket them to the very top of the metalcore scene. So you just never know. But again, from the singles that I have heard from this band, they are really, really good. So again, I'm actually really intrigued to check this entire thing out in its entirety. I've been working with Sharp Tone Records to promote this band, but again, I'm really liking what I hear, and that's why I'm choosing to listen to the entire full album. So again, really intrigued to check it out with y'all here. Again, the first song we're going to be checking out is Parasite, and the album in total is about 34 minutes and 40 seconds. So honestly, not that bad of a length of an album. Pretty good time frame for me personally here. So again, Alt with their new album ABEYANCE. Let's go ahead and pop it off here in 3, 2, and 1.
A few moments later.
Man, I'm so happy to say that I'm so happy that I took that journey. As I always say, obviously I'm not too familiar with this band. I've only done a couple of the singles, but listening to it as a whole, I'm so happy to say that I really enjoyed this album. So my first listen review of this album is coming up next, so please stick around for that. Alright, so again, we just got done jamming the band Alt and their debut album entitled ABEYANCE. Again, we just got done listening to the entire thing, and I have to say, man, I really enjoyed this. From the singles, I was like, this band's pretty good. I actually really like them, but listening to it as a whole, I really, really like this album. It's not perfect by any means, so let's go and talk about the pros, the cons, my favorite songs, and I'll give you a score at the very end of this section of the video. So I would say pro number one, these vocals, man, soaring. Absolutely fantastic. I love how there's certain parts of the song where it's definitely a heavy moment. For example, the Great Depression is a good example of this, where it's a really heavy moment where definitely should be some screaming over it, right? But they add singing on top of it. There's no screaming at all. There is screaming throughout this album, and it does sound good, but I loved how, again, they would sing over the heavy parts. I thought that was really, really cool and kind of unique. And then again, very melodic singing throughout. Some of it kind of reminded me of Jesse Cash, from Era, his kind of melodic singing, kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And so I really like the vocals throughout the entire album. I love I love the screamings that was mixed in. But again, the more I've been learning how to sing and kind of find my own voice, the more that I'm preferring singing over screaming, even though I love to scream. It's just, I don't know, with singing, I just feel like you can do so much more with that. And I thought the vocals of this band did a really good job. So yeah, the vocals are absolutely fantastic through and through. I'd also say a lot of the songs on this album have very cool structures. Honestly, not one song really sounds the same. Sometimes you get a little bit of rap moments, sometimes you get some really hard-hitting hardcore parts, sometimes you just get some sick metalcore riffs, and you get some kind of R&B singing a little bit, or vibes, for example with Better Off Leaving, or the title track where it's kind of not like a pop rock song, but it's more like just a modern rock song, I guess you could say. And I really enjoyed that. There's a lot of flavors on these albums, and sometimes, as I said, it can go from screaming on a heavy part, singing on a heavy part, screaming on a soft part, like, you know, stuff like that. So the structures of the song of this album are really good, and each song does sound different from one another, and I really enjoy that aspect. Very cool. I'd also say the production on this is really punchy. Like, again, when the guitar riffs hit, man, it hits hard, and I was like, I'm not like really having a good time listening to it here. I just felt like everything was very well balanced. Like, the vocals didn't overpower the guitar didn't overpower the bass drums, vice versa, whatever you wanted to, however you want to take that. But I really enjoyed the production on this album. I thought it was really cool. And I know I just mentioned it, but dude, some of the guitar riffs on this album are fantastic. Like, we're talking like super sick, fun to listen to, heavy hitting. Like, overall, man, just a really good, well balanced debut album from this band. As I mentioned during my reaction, for those who aren't on the Patreon or watch this on YouTube, I'll kind of quickly explain it. So Sharptone Records sent me the song Friend in the Dark to do a reaction to. As I was doing the reaction, my computer just completely stopped, and it didn't even save the file, so I completely lost it. And so, unfortunately, I wasn't able to react to that one, because, again, it just would have been a very genuine reaction if I reacted to it twice. That's kind of the hard thing about doing reaction videos. Like, if I was doing a different type of content, I could just, like, start over and try it again. But with a reaction, like, it's just not genuine to listen to it a second time knowing what's going to happen. And so, unfortunately, I had to scrap that reaction. But to kind of get my overall thoughts with that, the only con I have with this album is actually Friend in the Dark. I feel like this song just does not fit with the rest of the album. As I mentioned during my reaction, I feel like this would have been a great one-off single to release around like Halloween time, because this song is inspired by someone in the band was trying out for a slasher film, like in Australia. And they got inspired to write like a slasher song about it, which is really cool. I'm not saying the song was bad. I just feel like it just didn't really fit with the vibe of the rest of the album. It had cool moments in it, and the vocal patterns are pretty cool. But overall, for me personally, that song just does not work well with the rest of the album. Like, this one, again, as I said, could have been scrapped and put out a single around Halloween for something fun. Doesn't need to be part of an album or anything like that. And yeah, it did feel like the lyric, and they also mentioned in the email that the lyrics were written in about 5 minutes. It does feel like it's just like pretty quick, you know, like let's just write this down. It's about a slasher film. So that one definitely didn't feel needed, and it didn't feel necessary. Not a bad song by any means, but that is the one con in this album. I probably won't go back to the song. The other songs I probably will go back to. So my top 3 favorite songs from this album. Number 1, The Great Depression. I missed this one. I know I got the email for it, but I probably was just so busy with work or doing some other stuff that I missed it. But that song was awesome. Really heavy hitting, great vocals throughout, just absolutely fantastic through and through. So that one was definitely a standout. I know that was a single, but that one really hit with me, man. I really liked that one. The other one I really liked as well, actually, was The Only Good Thing. I mentioned in my reaction that there's a couple of on-the-nose lyrics in that song. For example, there's a line talking about him and his girl like making out or kissing to like Harry Potter while they're watching the movie in the den. And yeah, that is a little on the nose. It doesn't, you know, really fit with generally what the, you know, I don't know, something like that. It's hard for me to like take seriously, but I feel like if that kind of lyric is not used too often, where it's kind of like an on the nose lyric, that it's not too bad. But overall, like the song and the vibe itself was really good. And overall, I listened to it again to make sure I wanted to put it onto my list. And the more I listened to it, I was like, you know what? On first initial listen, I really like this song, so I'm sticking with that. The Only Good Thing. I really enjoy that song. And then in number 3, it's a tie for me. This one's really hard. It's either ADD or A Pep, if I'm saying that correctly here. I know I did a reaction to A Pep, but ADD really hit hard. That's another song that I missed. So it's really a tie between those two, so I just kind of put them both on there. But those are the songs that stuck out to me on the first initial listen of this album. Overall, though, just a really good album. All in all, I'm really glad I took this journey with this album. As I said, when I got the reactions or the songs to do these, you know, I was like, this band's pretty good. But now I'm really feeling like this band is super duper great. I really enjoyed this album. It's not perfect by any means, you know, obviously, you know, as I listen to it more and more, I may find some things that I don't like about it, or some more things I do like about it. Again, that's why I call them first listen reviews, because I'm probably going to miss a few things, because I just got done listening to the album, just giving you all my first initial impressions of an album. But overall, man, I enjoyed it. There's a lot of emotion that needs to be had in here that you can really feel. The vocals are great. Again, for a debut album, it's really really, really good. Really happy for these guys, and I do hope that a lot of people continue to find this band, and I hope that their fan base continues to grow, and I'm excited to see what they do with their next couple of pieces of work, their next album in a couple of years. I'm on the alt train, as you could probably see. I really enjoyed this album. I'm going to give Alt and their debut album, ABEYANCE, an 8 out of 10. Again, solid all the way through. Maybe a couple songs that don't work here and there, but overall, as an entire package, this album is great.